Hello and welcome downtown professionals and anybody who comes across this video. In this week's meeting at Downtown Professionals, we replaced a 10-minute presentation by a demonstration of how to lead a one-to-one. What are effective ways to conduct a one-to-one that will benefit highlighting and learning about the business of a member in our chapter. The following video shows that full interview. It's about just short of 10 minutes. I apologize in advance for the audio not being ideal, but I have a transcript and an infographic that I will share with all of you that you can follow that after the video. Enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you all again on Tuesday.
That's so fun. This is cute.
A word from our sponsor.
Yeah. So what we want to do is, I think, since Darla isn't here, and I learned about this at 5:30 this morning, I thought, oh no, what are we going to do? But I thought what we can do is talk about one-on-ones. One-on-ones being a crucial part of BNI, of building that relationship that we talked about this morning, building trust, building goodwill. And this is really the meat and potatoes of a BNI membership, how to build these relationships one-on-one. And this is by doing one-on-one, scheduling one-on-one meetings. Now, one-on-one meetings doesn't just mean like, okay, chit-chat about life, even though that is important too. If you build a relationship, you want to know about your background, or I want to know about Frank's background, etc. We're not going to focus on that today too much. What I want to do is go a little bit into what kind of questions can we ask, how can we learn from a business point of view what our partner, our member is offering, and how can I help him to get what he needs in his business. So what I would like you to do is, during that whole conversation, think about the question, who do I know that sounds like Frank's perfect client? Okay, just think about that during the whole conversation. So Frank, for anyone who hasn't met you yet, what's the name of your business?
Yes, I'm a financial planner at Edward Jones.
Yeah, can you explain in very simple terms what you do?
Yeah, we take, we help people with short-term and long-term financial goals and map out essentially a plan to accomplish those goals.
Yeah. Have you been doing this for a long time, or how long have you been in this?
I'm about 6 months in.
Wow. What did you do before?
So I actually worked in special education before I became a financial planner.
What made you move into this area?
It's funny, I just started reading I wanted to figure out my personal finance. I just started reading some books, and then, long story short, ended up taking some exams and tests and got licensed, and now we're here.
Great. Well, can you help us paint a picture of what you really do? For example, what kind of people are you looking for to work with? Is it couples, individuals, businesses? What are you looking for? Yeah,
well, the really cool thing about finance is personal finance is personal to everybody, right? So, there's not like a one-plug answer for that question. What I would say is, with business owners, a lot of business owners struggle separating business and their personal stuff, and that they don't know where to draw that line of their personal finances. We also help with workplace retirement plans and educate their employees as well. That would be a big one as business owners. Then I would say another one is anyone who's buying a house, selling a house, where are they keeping that money? We have a money market that's doing about 3.67, so it's at least beating inflation. What else? If there's some lawsuits happening of divorcees, widows that are getting inheritances, or there's just these big life changes, who's helping them navigate that? And another one is pre-retirees as well. So,
do you have sometimes people that come to you and say, I don't have a plan at all?
Yeah. I mean that's most of the people that are coming in don't have a plan. And the cool thing about a plan really is whenever somebody comes in and you sit down and you draw everything out, there's no gaps in the plan at all. You take everything from their budget to their spending, like all that stuff, and their income, their cash flow. And once you give them a plan, like 9 times out of 10, you give someone a plan in anything in life, they're going to get motivated to do it and attack it. Really, if you don't have a plan in anything in life, kind of just shooting an arrow in the dark, hoping it works out.
Isn't that the truth? When you write something down, right, you have a plan to follow.
Right.
It makes it much easier. How about, I'm about to retire in a few years. How about the retirees? Do you deal with a lot of people?
Yeah.
Retiring?
And that's the best part of my job is when someone who did all these right things over the years, they come in and they're actually coming to you for that plan because they accumulated this number of wealth, and they're like, okay, how can I not outlive this number that I have? And then you draw out that plan for them. And obviously, whenever you get a little bit older, you're probably not going to want to be in the all stock market because somebody can say one thing politically and you go haywire. So it depends on risk tolerance. Like if you're older, you probably want to be on a lot more conservative things. And then if you want to be, everyone's different though. So it's risk tolerance. But
do you have maybe a success story of somebody, a client in the short 6 months you said that you've been in this business, somebody that you could say, wow, I really could help that person. That was really an awesome opportunity. Yeah,
of course. We had a client come in the other day who, I went back to the inheritance thing because I guess it was fresh on my mind, but they got inheritance and this person had no plan, nothing, and if she didn't, like, props to her because she took the initiative of like attacking, like wanting to have a plan. But we gave her a plan, and like I go back to that encouraging piece of it, and like now it kind of changes her lifestyle too, because like and she has like a little better peace of mind because she knows she's gonna be okay. So we did 2 meetings with her, got her all set up with accounts, and we're like, this is you're gonna have this certain amount of money each month, and you're not gonna outlive it for the rest of your life, and it's really pleasant to tell someone that to their face, and
that must be satisfying for you too, right? To see that
oh my God, yeah.
the customer, not just because you may make a commission, but also because you could help someone out. Let's train the room here about how can we find referrals for you? What kind of questions we could ask out there? So, for example, if somebody said to me, I'm in my 50s and I have no idea I'm on track for retirement, you can help them, right?
Yeah.
What kind of other questions could we ask to draw people in and that we can refer them to you?
Yeah, I think there's like kind of a misconception about financial advising where like everyone who is like you can only use a financial advisor if you're wealthy. Like I think that's like so far from the truth, I think a really easy question that you can ask somebody is, they're a business owner and like they have their business money, just sitting in a Chase bank account. Like, that money is probably getting 0.01 interest, maybe not. I mean, it's losing value by the day for inflation. But you could put it in a money market with us. But full disclaimer, I don't get paid on this. I only get paid for managing money. But like, if you open a money market, it's 3.67. At least it's going to keep up with inflation. That's a big one. So like, where are your emergency reserves? And then just if people who are retiring or switch jobs, like if someone switches jobs, like they probably have an old employer retirement plan that's probably just sitting there eating up fees. That's not flying in the same direction as the rest of their money. So I would say like people who are leaving jobs, who are about to retire, and then where's their money at in the bank? So
if somebody tells you, I'm about to retire, who do you refer?
Frank.
If somebody says, I have a 401k and it's just not, and I left a job, what can I do with it? Who do you refer? Frank. If somebody says, I'm a business owner, I only make 0.5% interest, how can I make more money with what I have sitting in the bank? Who do you refer?
Frank.
All right, cool. So now one other section real quick is how should we introduce you? So we want to make it really simple to introduce you. Sometimes it's difficult. We can't explain all the things that you do. What's the best way to introduce you? Is it a group text, an email?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The best way to introduce me to somebody would be like, ideally I would like face-to-face intros. That's just the way my mind works. I remember things better that way. But then again, you know, it's complicated too. Like maybe a group text and like, same thing with Rich. Like if someone's introducing somebody to Rich, like I don't want it to be like, you know, hey, just text this person because like Rich, probably 9 times out of 10, we're probably not going to hear from them ever again. But if they put us in a group text with them and like they let them know we're going to reach out, I think that's a bigger piece for sure.
If you had to come up with one short sentence, what we could say, I would like to introduce you to Frank, what would be the best name?
I would just say financial planner. The tricky role with advising is like, you know, the Northwestern Mutual guy who sells nothing but insurance will say he's a financial advisor. So like, I think financial planner is like, Frank was working with financial planner, is a little bit better.
And then you can, once they meet you can of course explain all the different facets of what you do. All right, to the group. From what you have heard now, think about anyone that you could refer and maybe share, without names, just is anybody, by show of hands, anything comes to mind, somebody you could introduce them to? And without mentioning names. So we have 1 or 2 people already, 3 people that say they could introduce them. So by taking that information, by that example we just went through, make that connection. You know, and sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it's not the ideal customer. What would you say is a red flag? What kind of customers don't you want, or you think I can't really help them?
Yeah, well, that's kind of, we always have 2 meetings with our clients, because one is just like, if it's a good fit for both of us. Because, you know, I can give all the advice in the world, but they're not going to listen to it, and, you know, I'm just going to keep hammering, pestering them, essentially nagging them, like, it's probably not a good fit for me either, you know. So a red flag would be someone probably who's, you know, just not really open to the idea, I guess. It's more personality based, I feel like, with red flags for advising.
Good.